Okay, another big story to watch this week as we continue to watch the government shutdown is what's going on with the United States targeting what the White House is calling narco-terrorists. Others don't agree with this, and this is what we're seeing a lot of video of different boats being targeted off the coast of Venezuela. The U.S. government, the Pentagon says these are criminals, these are terrorists. Remember, the Trump administration has named these different cartels, which were previously cartels, for the last several decades, are now terrorist organizations. They have a new designation. Because of that, there's a little extra room for efforts to prevent these groups from operating in the United States. Efforts is a very generic term, and I realize that. But whether or not we're talking about sanctions or trade, whatever we're talking, there's a lot more leniency to activate against a terrorist group than it would be a cartel, an organized crime group. So I want you to listen to this. Kristen Welker is asking Senator Ruben Gallego, just a little background on him. He was a Marine. He deployed to Iraq. So he's going to talk a little bit about his military service vaguely here, but I want you to know that he has that background. And what we're going to start with here is some sound that Meet the Press, NBC's Meet the Press, is airing as Kristen Welker, the anchor here, is going to ask Senator Gallego a question. This brief sound from the president, made a lot of news last week, so I wanted you to hear it too.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead.
The Trump administration insists these strikes are consistent with international law. Do you agree with that?
No, it's murder. It's very simple. If this president feels that they're doing something illegally, then he should be using the Coast Guard. If there's an act of war, then you use our military, and then you come and talk to us first. But this is murder. It's sanctioned murder that he is doing that. And it's very simple for someone like him to talk about killing people or doing something in the name of war. He's never actually served. He's never actually pulled a trigger. And it's very dangerous what he's doing, both to our international relations, to our friends down in South America, and to these men and women that have to make these calls for a president that has zero understanding about the responsibility someone has when it comes to having to make life and death decisions. It's disgusting what he's doing.
So Senator Gallego is very critical, obviously, of what the president is doing. Senator Rand Paul, a Republican, is critical of what the president is doing, targeting people in this particular way without any sort of due process, if you will. Senator Paul has been critical in the past of that, whether it's a terrorist organization that exists here in the United States or is abroad, because certainly the United States has targeted terrorists through drone attacks or more provocative raids like that of bin Laden in the past. So it's not like we haven't done this before, but we certainly haven't done it like this, taking out these particular boats and arguing that they're connected to the drug trade, where there are some that say, how do we know that? What is the intelligence telling us that? So Congress is asking for more information. Senator Lindsey Graham, who's been an advocate of the president, critical at times, but an advocate, a Republican from South Carolina, has a different take from Senator Gallego. He says that the president is going to brief Congress about this, and he also shares some really important information. I want you to listen to what he has to say for another point of view.
Here's what's new. You got a commander-in-chief's not going to put up with this crap. We're not going to sit on the sidelines and watch boats full of drugs come to our country. We're going to blow them up and kill the people that want to poison America. And we're now going to expand operations, I think, to the land. So please be clear about what I'm saying today. President Donald Trump sees Venezuela and Colombia as direct threats to our country because they house narco-terrorist organizations. The leader of Venezuela is an indicted drug dealer in American courts. So, yeah, the game is changing when it comes to drug traffickers and drug cartels. We're going to use military force like we have in the past to protect our country. That's the new game we're playing, and I'm glad we're playing that game. And if I were Maduro, I'd find a way to leave before he goes down.
Okay, some provocative words there from Lindsey Graham. Let me show you this map where you can see Venezuela. Remember, getting to Venezuela, getting to Caracas is like 2.5 hours on a plane from Miami. I think sometimes we forget that. It feels very, very far away in South America, but it's not, at least by flight. When you look at a map and you see the whole thing, you're like, well, it's not really that far away. We have a guided missile destroyer just sitting Trinidad and Tobago is an island just a few miles off the coast of Venezuela. We're doing training exercises. This is what the military says. We also know that there's been some ships off the coast of Venezuela where these operations are taking place. What Senator Graham was talking about are reports that we could see some of the action that's taken in the Caribbean Sea also taken on land in Venezuela. And just to put that in some perspective, again, we have attacked terrorist groups in Yemen, for example. We've used a drone to take out terrorists, Al-Qaeda terrorists in Yemen. Now that these drug cartels are officially foreign terrorist organizations, they're terrorist groups, could we see something like that in Venezuela? This is what raised those questions, especially with these designations. There's a cartel that's in Mexico or in Venezuela. Does that mean the U.S. military at any point can go in and take out these groups because the administration says that they're a threat to the national security of the United States of America? And the question is, are they an existential threat to the country? And there are those that say, absolutely, they're bringing drugs into the country that's hurting the American people, that we can't let that happen. Others would say, well, this is part of the drug trade. It's not exactly the same thing as a terrorist group like Al-Qaeda that doesn't believe America should exist. So are these the same things? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Right now, the designation is terrorist organizations. So this is why the military is able to make these moves and is doing so without a lot of resistance. The question is, what would that resistance look like? Could there be some sort of lawsuit filed? Like how would there be a change in this? Congress is responsible for authorization of war, but we've gone into all sorts of conflicts without an authorization of war. So is Venezuela creeping into that territory, and how big of a conflict is the United States government willing to get into? This is, again, a big story to watch specifically this week as tensions are rising and we see that ship really off the coast of Venezuela parked there, just sort of hanging out, and with the question about what's next, and the president being overseas. By the way, the military exercises that this ship is part of are taking place when the president is in Asia and are supposed to finish up by Halloween, essentially. So just another quick look at that map.